And then we had Hurricane Sam that took us down to 15. And now, we got back to 18. That to me is spring. Spring is choppy, ugly, not really up and to the right. There are a lot of people saying we're going to be new all-time highs this year. Possible.
That's interesting.
Definitely likely in early 24. I think we're going to 10x the market cap, and we're going to, back to that 3 trillion level, and we're going to the 3 trillion level, and I think that's coming, and it doesn't have to come tomorrow, and it doesn't even have to come next month or even by April, May. I think it's. So a couple things. So on the macro side, I don't think we're out of the woods. I don't think we're on the precipice of some calamity either. I've said for probably the last year that this recession, and I actually believe we're in the recession, right? Mm-hmm. I think they'll call it retrospectively. They'll say it probably started March, April last year, and we're probably closer to the end than we are to the beginning. But it's a shallow recession, very, very similar in my mind to the 01 recession. Now on crypto, I think we're in the middle of one of the great short squeezes of all time. And it's not just crypto, it's everywhere, right? If you look at this month, right, the first 3 weeks of January, the crappier the company, and crappy is a technical term, the crappier the company, the more money they lose, the worse the business, the more it's up. Peloton, Zoom, GameStop, AMC, 60, 70, 80% this month. Forget, over any meaningful period of time. And we're talking 3 weeks. Now, the problem is, when you're down 95% and then you rally 80%, you're still down, in the 90s. So it's not really that good. Last year was so bad. Like everything was down. Stocks were down, bonds were down, small cap, large cap, international, emerging markets, everything was down, crypto. So the regular folks actually did some tax loss selling. So those tax loss sales were of the horrible companies like Peloton and Zoom and AMC.
Right.
And they now are rallying in huge short squeeze. And Bitcoin, I think I have this right. Binance just had over a $500 million collapse of shorts on their platform. So we are way oversold. way overbought. We are as overbought as I've ever seen Bitcoin. So I still believe we're in crypto spring. Crypto winter's over. We got through Hurricane Sam, which I didn't anticipate. And that's where we went. We were at kind of 18,000, and that's what I thought was the bottom. And then we had Hurricane Sam that took us down to 15. And now, we got back to 18. That to me is spring. Spring is choppy, ugly, not really up and to the right. Up and to the right is summer. Summer's still 3, 4, 5 months off in anticipation of the halving. There are a lot of people saying we're going to be new all-time highs this year. Possible.
That's interesting.
Definitely likely in early 24. Here's an interesting stat. Every halving adds a zero, meaning it increases the market cap of the Bitcoin asset by tenfold. So we went from 1 to 10 in the first halving. Then we went from 10 to 100, from 100 to 1,000, went to 10,000 in the last one. And I think, January, February next year, we go to the 100K. And we'll surpass that, because then the next one after that, brace yourselves, right, is 1 million 4 years later in 2028. People say that could never happen. No, it will happen. It's just going to take time. If Barron and Grayscale are forced to liquidate GBTC, which, there's a bunch of shareholders that are kind of coming together to try to force that issue, right? Closed-end funds can get taken over by their shareholders and can be forced to liquidate. If GBTC Trust was forced to close and we basically sold 10 billion, now probably closer to 11 or 12 billion dollars of BTC, that's about 10% of available circulating supply, right? Not total supply, but remember, 65, 70% of Bitcoin hasn't moved in 3 years, is not going to move. So the free float is what we have to talk about. And GBTC owns, as I understand it, about 10% of the free float. Now, if that were liquidated, everyone says, "Oh, it'd be horrible. It'd be straight down." Well, remember, for every seller, there's a buyer. And I think there's a lot of money waiting to get back in. And so I think it would be bad short term, but I don't think it'd be a disaster. The thing that is more, I guess, concerning for me is the fundamental part, right? That what Sam et al., and again, I don't think it was Sam or Caroline, I think they are useful idiots of some much smarter, bigger, sinister plot. I think that damaged credibility and confidence. And that's what new markets need. Damaging confidence is what slows technological adoption. So look, is Bitcoin a better form of money? 100%. Is Bitcoin a better form of gold? 100%. Is Bitcoin the future of value transaction? 100%, right? Having a source of truth on chain as opposed to trust in intermediary financial institutions is a superior model. It just is. It's as superior as you and I using the internet to communicate instead of smoke signals or the old landline telephone, right? This is superior. Okay, you could argue that Gemini made a risk management mistake by having counterparty risk that was too concentrated. You could make that argument. I probably wouldn't, but you could. And full disclosure, like we're owners. I mean, we're not big owners, but we're owners. But I like those guys, and I think they are the types of people that could really do a good job helping to engender trust. Coinbase was different. Coinbase had been pummeled from, comparing them to, a speculative company like Celsius, where there was a token, or FTX, where there was a token. There's nothing similar about Coinbase and those other entities in that regard. Yes, they're an exchange. Yes, it's not your keys, not your coins, but I believe CeFi has a role for people who don't want to deal with the hardest elements of the new age of decentralized finance. But Bitcoin or Coinbase got super undervalued. I'm as positive about the Bitcoin maxi story, which is at some point, we all won't need centralized exchanges and these trusted third parties. But in the short run, I think we do. And I could debate, the maxis all day on this, who say, nope, you got to cut the cord. You got to rip off the Band-Aid. You got to go. My 84-year-old dad is never, ever, ever, ever going to hold his own keys. If people with power and money and prestige and influence don't like your idea, you're onto something.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
The fact that the smartest, most powerful people in the world hate this thing, hate is a very strong word.
Something is
You only hate things. Think about this. In your life, what do you hate? You hate things that cause you pain or discomfort. And that's what's happening right now, is these guys are feeling the heat.
Totally.
I'm pretty comfortable saying that was the bottom, right?
Interesting. Okay.
Look, I thought the bottom was 17.8 on June 15th. I really thought that was the bottom.
Right.
But I said I didn't see FTX being a complete fraud. That wasn't on my bingo card. There were a lot of good charts that said 10 to 12 was really the lower level that we should have hit, and we didn't get there. So now look, GBTC unravels, Tether turns out to be a total fraud.
That's a different game.
Deltec Bank is running money for some crime syndicate. Yeah, okay.
For sure. Now we got black swans.
Then maybe 10 to 12 comes into play. But I don't think anything lower than that. And I'm very comfortable saying the 15 was it, and we're back into spring. I'm not even sure we're gonna head back through the 18 level. So as long as we keep making higher lows, I'm comfortable that we're in a bull period. this was definitely a short squeeze, right? The last 3 weeks, total short. I said, my belief is April, May is the beginning of the 9-month run through the halving.
Interesting.
I think we're going to add a zero. I think we're going to 10x the market cap, and we're going to, back to that 3 trillion level, and we're going to, not back to, we're going to the 3 trillion level, and I think that's coming, and it doesn't have to come tomorrow, and it doesn't even have to come next month or even by April, May. I think it's Q1, Q2 of next year. The reason that Bitcoin goes up over time isn't because Bitcoin gets better. It's just a Bitcoin. It's because the dollar's getting worse. And so when we're quantitative tightening, the dollar got strong, which meant the price of Bitcoin went down. Now, as the dollar's getting weak, and the dollar's been in free fall, right, since October. I mean, absolute free fall. DXY just getting crucified.
Sure. Yeah.
And so if the Fed follows through, then I see a big tailwind for Bitcoin, gold, and all stores of value. I used to say, form your base: Bitcoin, Avalanche, Solana, Ethereum. I might modify that. I might ditch Solana. I think it was a Sam coin or scam coin a little bit. I think there's a lot of good development on Solana. I think there's a lot of good projects on Solana, but unfortunately, I think that was one of the manipulated. It's not as bad as Serum or FTT or Oxy or a couple of the others, but so I'd probably take Solana out of there, and I'd probably swap in Polkadot and Cosmos. So that doesn't make a very good mnemonic, but I'd probably pull Solana out of that 6 and keep the other 5, because